In today's video, we're checking out the GVM SD300B ARO 300 watt video light. This is extremely bright and it has Bluetooth connectivity and a bunch of cool effects. I've been testing this over the course of the last week and it's given me some really professional results that look great to my eye. This light is a great option for filmmakers, professional photographers, or YouTubers wanting to add a pro light to their set or studio that's both powerful and really flexible. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. You're looking at the GVM SD300B ARO light. If you're familiar with my channel, I reviewed the standard SD300B and it's been my main light here in the studio since moving to this house. I'm using it right over here. It's a great light. This is a very similar COB light to the previous versions and will give you very accurate CCT colors thanks to its color accuracy index rating or CRI rating of 97. The brightness is measured at 11,800 lux at a distance of 1 meter or 1,440 lux at a distance of 3 meters. Again, this thing is super bright. I was able to get some really impressive video results in my test samples, and it nails both a focused light look or a diffused look if you're using it with something like the GVM softbox. Before we get into this video, this is a product provided review video, which means GVM have sent this to me for free, but they don't get any input into this video, nor do they get to preview it ahead of time. In Australian dollars, this pack is about $600, which I assume is far less in USD. If you want to check it out, I'll link it down in the description. I'll show you a bunch of test samples using the GVM ARO light on its own and also in combination with the SD300B. All right, let's cover build quality. So the build quality on this lamp is excellent. We get the same high quality aluminium alloy and plastic construction as before. There's a nice large internal active cooling fan in here as well to prevent overheating, along with a screen and some dials on the back for configuring the unit if you're not using the app. The biggest difference between the new ARO or ARO light compared to the SD300B is that there's no massive external power supply brick anymore. GVM internalized the new power supply on this unit and it only weighs in at 2.8 kilograms. The prior SD300B Pro that I reviewed had a mount specifically for this power brick, but instead now you can just run the power cables in. That's it. Secondly, this uses a different Bluetooth app called GVM Link, which has a different layout to the one I tested before, and we'll cover that app in a little bit more detail later. Let's cover what we get in the box. So we get the light itself, this mounting bracket for putting it on a light stand, and this big old honkin' reflector right here. It's absolutely massive. Just to put it into perspective, this is the one that came with the SD300B, and you can see just how different they are in terms of physical size. Included, we get a high quality power cable that looks to be about 5 meters long, which is awesome. So you can plug it in, you don't have to worry too much about extension cables. This particular pack that GVM sent out doesn't come with a carry bag or any sort of bundle with a softbox, but GVM usually offer different types of bundles and accessories. If you're thinking about buying this, it will obviously come with this reflector here, but I would also recommend getting one of their softboxes. If you're coming from something far less expensive, like one you'd find on eBay, they're in a completely different realm in terms of build quality and they'll last you forever. The mount on the front of the SD300B ARO is a Bowens mount. So if you've got anything with a connector that looks like that, then you're in business. So it will fit, no problems whatsoever. Let's take a look at a few of the modes and some real world examples. The brightness of this lamp is insane, as I've already mentioned, with this particular reflector. For this test, I'm using the SD300B on 3% using the softbox and the SD300 ARO using the reflector. Check out how bright this goes just by using the intensity level on the app. It's crazy. If you're new to lighting, using a reflector is much brighter than a softbox, and this lamp is rated at 11,800 lux at a distance of 1 meter. And you can get a good sense of how bright it is from these examples. I placed the lamp outside for this next test and ramped up the brightness, and it had no problems lighting the scene from outside. I have the ARO above the height of the blind that you see in the shot, and it's still crazy bright in this particular scene. Being that this is a CCT light, you can cycle through the CCT color range from 2700 Kelvin on the warm side all the way through to 6800 on the cool. If you're a fan of 5600 Kelvin like I am, it does a great job, and that's what I'm using here in the studio. Built into this lamp, we get 12 effects, and I'll run you through all of those right now. Now, if you've noticed already, I do have a black eye, but in these samples, it was way worse. I didn't get into a fight. I'm just way too clumsy. So let's have a look. Just know these first samples here are all with the lamp on its own without any other sort of lighting. This first effect is called Intensity Loop, which cycles on and off nice and smoothly. Lightning is another favorite effect built into this light, which I've used on short films in the past, and it looks really great on this one. The next one is called Bad Bulb, another great effect for short films or creating creepy environments. Paparazzi is designed to emulate flash photography. Like all of the others that I've showcased so far and coming up, you can change the intensity level and frequency of each effect. Explosion is the next one, which is pretty self-explanatory. Pulsing is the next one, which doesn't go 100% off or 0%. I really like this one. It kind of almost goes completely dim and then comes back up. Strobe emulates the strobing effect you might find at a nightclub or music event. Welding is the next one, which offers a much warmer light by default. SOS is the standard Morse code flashing, so 3 short flashes, 3 longer flashes. CCT loop will cycle through the entire color spectrum of the lamp without changing the brightness. TV is designed to create the look of a TV on in the other room, and it does a pretty decent job. I just found it a little slow by default, but you can of course change this in the settings. And finally over to candle, which could also emulate a fireplace on in the room, for example. It does a great job at emulating the warm light of a candle or fireplace. Let's try some combined lighting to go for more of a cinematic effect now. And I've done this by having the SD300B ARO outside facing in and the GVM 300B highlighting me on in the shot. Changing the color temperature of the lamp outside drastically changes the shot. If you want to turn a dark scene into a sunrise, just simply crank up the brightness and set it nice and warm. The second test is with the lightning effect on outside. You can either just turn it on or trigger it using the button on the app. This next test is using the explosion effect, and I changed the CCT colors as well to see what kind of results we could get. I think it looks good. Here's a quick look at how the light works on its own using the GVM softbox. I was easily able to create a moody low light shoot by keeping the brightness low and letting the light hit one side of my face. I'm really happy with this shot and also the shot of the chair on its own. It's quite easy to spotlight and focus the light into an area of the room while the rest of the room is completely dark. If you're a fan of moody lighting, this works a treat. All right, let's wrap this up. I'm going to give you my pros and cons of the GVM SD300B ARO or ARO. I've called it ARO throughout the entire video. I'm not sure if it's an ARO or ARO, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's wrap this up. So overall, this light is awesome. I think the biggest upgrade physically over the prior one that I reviewed is the fact that we don't have a big honkin' power supply anymore. That's great. In terms of the reflector, it's definitely a lot bigger than the prior one, so you can make your mind up if you like the bigger or smaller form factor. But the great news is if you've already got one of their lamps, you can, of course, use a different softbox. You can use a different reflector thanks to the universal Bowman's mount here. Maybe the only thing to keep in mind with this is it doesn't do any sort of RGB effects or any other colors other than the CCT spectrum. But for what it does it extremely well. The best thing about them is you don't have to turn them up too much to get a really well lit room. They're way brighter than you think they are. I know I've explained that in this video and showcased it, but until you actually see how bright it is with this on, you don't quite get a full appreciation for it. It always surprises me just how bright these things are. My only other critique is at the time of filming, I was unable to get both of these lamps to work on the same app. So this new one works on a new app and the older one works on an older app. Hopefully they can do something with the firmware on the old one to bring it up to this one. But if you're just getting 1 or 2 of these, for example, for your set or shoot, then you're only going to need one app. You can set up groups and do all that kind of cool stuff. So it's really cool. I actually really love the app. The app's nice and simple to use, and I have no complaints there whatsoever. If you want to check this out, I'll link it down below. Thanks for watching. My name's Shane, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.